The Hinnom Valley served as the place where the evil occurred. The biblical references associating the Valley of Hinnom with child sacrifice, fire, and punishment have evolved into it being synonymous with hell. In religious Jewish texts, the valley is associated with evil, and the name Hinnom became associated with hell and the fate of the wicked. The Valley of Hinnom is located between West and East Jerusalem. Its western section is inside sovereign Israel. A portion of the valley is known as No Man's Land, while its eastern part is in the occupied territories. Because the Hinnom and Kidron valleys are located on the southeast side of Jerusalem, the prevailing winds carry the winds away from the city. For this reason, it became the city dump. Dead animals from the temple sacrifices were thrown there to rot and be eaten by worms and maggots. During the Old Testament period, many of the Israelites sacrificed their children to the false gods of Molech and Baal in the Hinnom Valley. It is believed that idols of Molech were giant metal statues of a man with a bull's head. Each image had a hole in the abdomen and outstretched forearms that made a kind of ramp to the hole. A fire was lit in or around the statue and babies were placed in the statue's arms or in the hole. When a couple sacrificed their firstborn, they believed that Molech would ensure financial prosperity for the family and future children. It was a custom to beat drums and play music loudly. Some believe this was done to drown out the baby's screams from reaching the ears of their parents. King Manasseh ruled in Judah for 55 years. He made his sons pass through the fire in the valley of Ben Hinnom, and he practiced witchcraft, used divination, practiced sorcery, and dealt with mediums and spiritists. He did much evil in the sight of the Lord, provoking him to anger. Perhaps because of the atrocities committed here, Jesus used the Hinnom Valley as an illustration of the eternal torment of hell. With its pagan history and burning sore stench, Jerusalem's Hinnom Valley serves as a vivid metaphor for both the Christian and Jewish concept of hell. By Jesus' time in the New Testament, the Greek translation of Hinnom Valley, Gehenna, became a synonym for hell. For this reason, the English New Testament versions of the Bible translate Gehenna as hell. These verses are talking about the Valley of Hinnom, which is the same place as the potter's field, which is also where Judas was thrown. Basically, the chief priests purchased the field, but also purchased the curse on that land. Interestingly, the field of blood, which was purchased from the 30 pieces of silver Judas received to betray Christ, is in the Hinnom Valley. Today, there's a monastery marking this spot called Akeldama. In Christian tradition connects the place with Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. There are two accounts of his death. The Gospel of Matthew describes how Judas returned the money to the temple authorities, but they won't have it. The place where Judas hung himself was purchased by the chief priests as a burial place called Akeldama, or the Field of Blood. These cliffs in the Hinnom Valley are near the traditional spot, meaning that the suicide may have happened close by. The result was that Judas remained so long hanging on the rope that his body became swollen, not fell headlong. His decomposing flesh burst. The slopes of the Hinnom Valley were used for tombs by the wealthiest Jewish families in the 1st century. Cephas says the tomb of Annas the high priest is located in this area, and such a monument has been identified. There are more than 30 tombs cut and excavated in the lower southern side of the Hinnom Valley by a monastery dedicated to Saint Onufrius. The Valley of Hinnom is the discovery site of the oldest findings that are mentioned in verses of the Bible. Today, the National Park Farm in the valley operates on the site, preserving ancient agricultural crafts through workshops and educational activities. If you like my videos, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.